Alrighty, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the stream. Let's get rolling here. So, welcome, everybody. How are you all doing this afternoon? I hope you're doing well. Let me just get a couple things set up here. Hopefully, you can hear me really well. I got a little AI noise canceling app. It seems to be working fairly well, so hopefully that helps keep down some of the outside noise, children, TVs, and cats banging at the door, stuff like that. All right, so yeah, everybody, welcome to the stream. If you're first time here, let's just give you some of the 411. Obviously, the intent here is to address any questions or whatnot I see in the chat. We have super chats available as well, and/or if you're a patron. So slide over into my. Hopefully, I have this set up correctly. Yes, I do. Look at me go. If you're a patron, you want to flop any questions or comments or anything like that, logs, take a look at those. Or if you have some items you wanted to cover specifically, having issues with something specific, you can hop in, let me know, and we can hop into the office hours voice group here if it's something you didn't want to type and you actually want to get on live, and we'd address those questions and do a little troubleshooting. Today we're planning to do about an hour with Q&A. So if people want to load that up. Otherwise, I have a couple things I'm going to take a look at here while people are rolling in. And yeah, we'll start going from there. So yeah, it looks like some more. This was at the end. These people, everybody's crushing my dreams here. A number of people are having trouble with the SpeedyBee F7 flight controller. So there's two people. I've heard some. There was another person in the Betaflight Slack as well that was having some issues. So I haven't put it on my machine yet. We'll do some vetting on it, but you can see like right here, we can jump right in. That right here. So we can get started right off the top. This is, if you ever see this when you're doing a flip or a roll, and you can see the motors are spiking and you see that kind of thing in your gyro signal, that is definitely an electrical / gyro issue. So if you have any weird sounds or twitching things, when you're flying, log it and just log flips and rolls. And if you see spikes like that where the motors are spinning up to either kick you into the move or arrest the move, and you got spikes like that, that's electrical or motor or a just a plain old gyro failure issue. If you see any, squiggly squigs here while it's just doing its full rotation, that's most likely in that case it's just a bad gyro. So that's kind of the differential. Here you get the spikes, it's mostly electrical issue. So it could be capacitance. If you don't have a capacitor, your capacitor got disconnected, or I've seen that where people crash and then the little leads coming off the capacitor are kind of stiff and they get the solder joints break. So check that. Capacitors theoretically can go bad, so you could flip the capacitor out. Obviously, you want to make sure you're getting a good capacitor. Outside of that, just you have good capacitance on it. Motors or SCs put off electrical noise, and if your flight controller just doesn't have enough onboard capacitance in coupled with your capacitor you've added to it, you just need to replace the flight controller. So anyways, that's some data from the SpeedyBee F7 right there from last time. All right, the other thing I was checking out, and I don't know what this is about. Maybe you guys can fill me in on this one. I saw somebody texted me here. It's Martin Willard, and he said, check out GitHub, Flight 1 code drop. You've been invited. I don't even know what that means. So if you guys know anything about that, I just saw that when I was logging in and preparing for the stream here. So that's interesting. I did go to GitHub. I don't see anything. I don't know what invited means. I don't know if that's how GitHub works. So yeah, I don't know about that one. If you guys know anything about that, I typed in Flight 1. I know the Flight 1 code drop happened a long time ago when Preston and Kalen had a falling out, but that was like 3 years ago. I don't know. It's a new message from Slack or Discord. All right. So what else do we got here? So just going down through some of the stuff. Luke, how you doing? Mitchell, welcome. It's fine evening here. That's good. Blades FPV, thank you for the time in advance. Oh, appreciate you guys being here. Time charging all my packs, and that's because it started. Oh, that's the worst. So now H2O FPV says he spent a bunch of time charging his packs, and now it started to rain. That sucks, man. Even worse now, you got to discharge them, I guess, or yeah, leave them charged. Wait for tomorrow. Hope for a sunny day. One general question by Mitchell 76. There is a risk with. I gotta move this over. I can't hardly see it. So there is a risk with vibrating in general fun use of quads. So general custom, there is a risk rating for general fun. Yeah, well, yeah, there's some risk. You could get a little chopped, so just be careful with that. Props off. And Remco's FPV said, my tunes work the best from learning from your videos. Check out my tuning video. Yeah. You can drop a link. I'll approve it. Going to ask you if you've tried Flight 1 or a non-Flight 1 FC. I have not. So Luke Beam asks if I've tried Flight 1 on a non-Flight 1 FC. I've not. I've only ever tried it on the other FCs. So it'd be interesting for people to go back and forth. You know, Flight 1 I think they've kind of backed off of it, but when it started, it was predicated on 32-bit, right? But then they make you can get a Flight 1 hex and flash it on like this is I think you can actually get it on this, a omnibus flight controller, like an old omnibus. Any flight controller with a MPU 6000 gyro on it does not do 32K. So they're making Falco X hexes, builds for flight controllers with a MPU 6000 chip on it. So they're not running it at 32K on that chip. Now they might be running at 32K on other, but it would be interesting for somebody to buy. You need to flash it on a board that has an MPU 6000, and then see, put it on the quad, fly it, get some HD, all that kind of good stuff, and then put maybe a Flight 1 flight controller on the quad, do the same thing. See if they even can tell the difference between listening to the motors. You should hear, with the same exact settings from Falco X on 32K, I would expect you to hear, when you did a full throttle punch, you wouldn't hear the motors spin up as high because they would have less filtering. So it'd be interesting to see, because if it's exactly the same, that means on Falco, on a Flight 1 flight controller, it's not actually running 32K. If you get the exact same results, like the motors wouldn't sound different at all at like a full throttle punch or whatever, that's an indicator to me that it's the same. So it'd be interesting, but I've not, it's cheap enough, $15, yeah. Maybe put that on the list. What else we got? Slide this over here. Maybe I can read both without looking away from the camera too much. I've got a 10-inch Bad for Life FPV said he's got a 10-inch pretty locked with gyro low pass filters turned off and tight PIDs. Going to iFlight new 8S ESCs coming too. Oh, nice. So it's Octo. Oh, 8S, yeah. 8S ESC can start to feel the sag. Yeah. Well, yeah, you would feel the sag. So he's basically saying with 6S on a 10-inch, he's feeling the sag. 8S will, yeah, you'll feel less. So, yeah, that's the way to go. They really do pull a 10-inch, that prop is so heavy. I've noticed when I was doing 10-inch, that's the key. Like a tri-blade, 10-inch is a tough one, right? Because a it really wants to be a bi-blade, but bi-blades are so noisy compared to tri-blades, it seems. Um, I don't know why. If it's just bad manufacturing, I would guess it's just bad manufacturing. It's not as maybe it's a little more difficult in manufacturing to make a bi-blade be as balanced. I don't know. But then you put on the tri-blade to have better noise performance, which is what helps a lot. But then that prop is so heavy, 10 inches, that you really need a powerful motor. So yeah, going up to 8S, I would definitely recommend. Same thing. I'm sure you're using 32 something motors on it. So yeah, you definitely need a powerful motor. Morning, Skadoosh. I guess it's morning over there for you. And this is something I should do, buddy. How do you do this moderator thing? Oh, there you go. Now Skadoosh is a moderator. That might be trouble, but he'll be all right. Welcome to the live stream. Thanks for joining. Drinking coffee, charging packs. Hope it isn't raining all day. Yeah, well, I hate to say it, but I like to hear it when it rains a little bit for other people because it rains enough here, just like everywhere else. So misery loves company, but hopefully it clears up for you. But I do like to know that it's raining around the world. Everybody's getting a little of their own. It's always helpful. But yeah, MPU 6000 doesn't fly as good. Will fly fine with presets. Don't work. Oh, but the presets don't work. So big FPV basically says MPU 6000 on. I would assume you're talking about Falco X doesn't fly as well as the Flight 1 flight controllers, and that the presets for the MP when it's on an MPU 6000 don't work. I don't know why. Why wouldn't they work? I would think they'd just be over. They wouldn't be on the edge as much though, right? Because the MPU 6000 at 8K is going to have that digital low pass filter in there, right? So it's just going to be more filtered. So you could, I guess the presets, what I recommend, if truly Flight 1 is doing 32K on the boards that can do 32K and then dial it down to 8K for the boards that can't, the presets they should be over, I don't know about over filtered, really depends on your quad, but they're going to be more filtered than what they were designed for. So you'd want to raise some of your low pass filters in Falco X. So you like apply the preset. If you're putting Falco X on a board that can only do MPU 6000s like this, right? Flash it on there. And then you'd probably want to try more aggressive presets. That's probably the way I would go instead of messing around with the numbers. Or you could move the low pass filters up as well. But other than that, it should be fine. There's really no big difference. The sampling rate, there's not an advantage to the sampling rate. We're sampling, it's 8K is sampling it's 8K is sampling 800 times more than the frequency of the movements we're trying to measure. So it should be in good shape. One of the things I want to try on these live streams, you guys are talking about getting out and flying packs. I want to start doing live streams where I'm flying. So I've been messing around a lot with the DJI, FPV out stuff. I tried it on a Chromebook today, actually. It works on a Chromebook. Not that I need a Chromebook, I can just use my laptop. But if you're thinking about buying a Chromebook for the DJI out, you really need to get the next thing I need to try on the Chromebook is to get the app to work. So for the DJI out, you can just go to live.fpv.com, right? So you can go, bring this up here. So if you were trying the DJI out, right, you could go to live, stay on this site, I guess, live.fpvout.com. So on a Chromebook, you would do this. Now this is Explorer. You'd bring up Chrome. There it goes. And with Chrome, move this over. I was screwing that up before. You you would just click that. You just plug in with Chromebook, right? And just click this button. It recognizes your goggles automatically, and then you can do the live feed. So that's easy and works enough. But the feed is it's not choppy. The lower portion of the feed is like it gets pixelated, and then the colors change, and it's just not. I was gonna make a video on how to do it, and then I saw the end result, and I was like, dang it, this is not gonna work. Um, but I did find out that you can get apps to work on a Chromebook, like an Android app, right? So you could go to fpvout.com. Let me back up a second. On your Chromebook, you can go to the Play Store, but the what do they call it? DigiView app for the FPV out. This app is not available on Chrome. So it must this must, the Play Store, this app right there, that app is not available, at least on the Chromebook I tried it with. That app's not available. It's on my Android. It's fine. So not big shocker, but the Play Store changes what apps are served up based on the operating system you're on. So it's not on there. However, you could go to djiot.com, FPV, go to the Android app right here, and then go to releases right here. And then from releases, you could go ahead and download the APK file. And then with that APK file, there's multiple ways to get apps working on a Chromebook, like Android apps working on a Chromebook. So I want to give that a shot. Obviously, you can just use your phone, but Chromebooks, it's a laptop. And the reason that I'm thinking about Chromebook stuff is you can get a Chromebook for fairly inexpensive. You can get a Chromebook for like 80 bucks, 100 bucks. Doesn't have a lot of storage space on it, but you don't really need a lot of storage space. So might be a way to go. So I was messing with that. But if you were, again, thinking about just getting a Chromebook and using the FPV out website like I just showed there, it's not very good. I tried it with multiple cables as well. So yeah, I had better hopes. But then I tried it again with the same setup. I didn't even unplug anything. I just plugged in my phone then, and this was fine. The DigiView out there was no pixelation, no weird coloring at the bottom of the screen or anything like that. So it's just the software really is not it's not as good as the app. Yeah, a DJI Outstream would be awesome. So one of the things I'm working on is they have that community center behind my house and that entire park. We're working on getting Wi-Fi coverage, so it should be fairly easy. That's always the trick, right? You can live stream anywhere over your phone. It's going to use a lot of data, so you might get some charges at the end of the month. But you really need a Wi-Fi location, right? So you can actually stream it out. So yeah, that might be a way to do that. Let me see if there's anything on the office hours. Nothing in here. Okay. Oh wait. Oh yeah, I am doing office hours. All right. So let me answer a few more. Let me look down through the chat here, and then we're gonna bounce over. We got somebody at Patreon here, and have some stuff to take a look at. So we'll peel back the onion on it. I guess it needs more filtering. Why am I skipping your question? Where is your question? I'm trying not to skip a question. There we go. Hi, I have a problem. Okay, so Carlos, I don't know. Carlos. I'm gonna go with Carlos. Sorry for butchering your name. Asks, hi, I have a problem with my jumper T-Light and the eSheen 800DM video goggles. The problem is that no matter what RF I use, the T-Light, my video feed goes terrible just when I turn on the T-Light. That's really, that shouldn't happen. So they are on two different frequency ranges. You have a 2.4 gigahertz transmitter and a 5.8 gigahertz video system. So they shouldn't be interfering with each other. Are you saying that the video goes terrible? What do you mean by terrible? Is it staticky? Or does it have lines through it? Is this when you're flying? No, you said, is this on the ground that it just goes terrible? Like as soon as you turn on the T light, it goes bad. That's very odd. Yeah, let me know if it's just on the ground. So tag me in your response there. Put at UAV Tech so I can see it pop up specific. But let me know, is it on the ground and you're just powering it up? Video feed's okay. You turn on your transmitter and the video feed does not look good. If that's the case, you have to have a wiring issue. It really cannot be the RF signal. The only other thing I could think is that you're just swamping. Maybe if you're so close, you're just swamping it. Move some of the stuff apart. And I don't mean like way far apart, but just, in a small room, put the quad on one corner and put the transmitter on the other and the thing. And it shouldn't matter though. The only thing I can think is your T light. If your T light is, swamping thing, I'm really stretching on that. It shouldn't be an issue. So anyways, yeah, let me know on that. Okay, so applied. Yeah. Yeah, so Kevin 405 says Crossfire V3 is coming out with latency improvements. Yeah, so end-to-end, I hope is their goal on it. We'll see. It's not that it's that bad right now, so see if they can make it a little bit better. Maybe they'll trim off a couple milliseconds, one or two. But that should be about it. Maybe it will help with any jitter too. The tracer, it did okay for jitter. It wasn't the best, but it wasn't bad. It was kind of just average. So maybe Crossfire V3 will be better. I'm really impressed. I've said this, I think, in the last live stream, that, and I made a special Patreon video for this, but the Ghost latest beta version, which is not even in public beta yet, it's like a private beta, is really good. So, and they're doing telemetry and they're not syncing. It's actually, to me, I think I said this in the last live stream, and don't tell the Express LRS guys, because I consider them kind of buddies. But Ghost is bringing it with Express. They're bringing it too, but there's concessions, right? You have to like give up some stuff. With Ghost, not so much. With their latest, the one I did the video on, that wasn't their latest beta yet, because that wasn't even out when I did that video. But since then, they followed up, and it looks like they're on a good track. So that's good competition. I think there's a friendly competition between Ghost and Express. I think it's fairly friendly. It seems friendly. So yeah, I think it's better for us. Good for them too. Makes the whole system better. All right. Ignition FBZ says, hi, UAV Tech, and encountered an issue with my Radix 2 where the drone flips out, entering and exiting a front flip. Blackbox logs does not seem to show desyncs, but the gyro data goes nuts. Mind having a look? I don't need a look. Let me show you. I think you probably jumped in at the beginning of the stream. I'll show you here. Look at your log. If you see these spikes, you either have a bad gyro or electrical issues. Doesn't mean to be looking exactly like this, but if you see spikes in your gyro signal like that, and it's specifically, you can turn on this is the filtered signal actually. So the raw looks even worse. But if you see that kind of stuff, it's basically that correlation when you're entering or exiting a flip, just a straight old flip, no like, just blipping the throttle and then doing a flip or a roll, and do a flip and a roll, because you can have one axis be okay, but the other one not. That happens all the time. That's mostly what happens. One axis is okay. It's one axis is not. I've not figured that out, why it's like that. But yeah, if you see those spikes, that's bad gyro, bad thing. If it's erratics, you have that, something similar to that. You could probably send it to Radix and Martin. They're good peeps, and I'm sure they'll help you out. They'll take a look at it. If it's a bad gyro, they might send you another board. Oh, you already said Brain FPV has said it looks like a desync. But looking at the log, it does not look like a desync. Well. So a desync, I don't have a log of a desync, but for a desync, you wouldn't see what I just talked to you about. You would see where you're looking at the motor commands in Blackbox, and when you're looking at the motor commands, you're going to see a spike. So let me just pull up a log here quickly, if I can do it quickly. Yeah, I can do it quick enough. Yeah, combo, it's full range. Go over here. Let's make me small. You don't want to see me anyways. All right, so this is opening up. So you would see, you want to go down. So the difference between, again, a bad gyro, you're looking at I don't really know how to tell the difference between a bad gyro or electrical noise. Like they look the same to me. Either way, you got to replace the flight controller. So it doesn't really matter. So I haven't tried to really refine that and figure that out. I'm not like soldering on new gyros. So you would see that in these flips or rolls, like I showed on that image just a second ago. And that's because you're having this spike. You're having this spike here as the motors are spinning up to max. You're getting electrical noise, so you'd have a spiky gyro here. However, a desync, what you want to look for is down here just on the motor commands. You would see, and this doesn't have a desync. I'm sure I could peel one up. The question is, how fast can I pull one up? A desync, you would see the motor commands. One of the motor commands would go to 100%. So you'd see it, just any one of these motors 1 through 4. One of them right at the desync, or a micro desync, would peg at 100%, and that's the motor that's actually desyncing. So remember, these are the if Betaflight gives it a command and it doesn't do it, it's going to give it more of that same command, and it will eventually go up to 100%, and that means that motor's stalled. If you see stuff like this is not motor stalling. This is motor saturation. So that's a different thing. So don't confuse the two. Again. All right, sorry. Did I screw something up here? Oh boy, I hit a button. Shouldn't have hit a button. Oh no. You guys still with me? I think you are, but I don't know if I am. Ruh-roh. I don't want to go to manage stream. I just want to be on this stream. Share. I don't want to end stream. Why'd you do that? Oh man. Okay. Can you guys still see me? There we go. Okay. All right, chat. Get back to me here. I'm good. Did I blank out there? I hit my button on my browser and it just kind of disappeared from this active screen. And okay, I did, but I came back. Did I go away and then I came back? Give me a hell yeah if that's what happened. That's my bad. Rookies. What are you gonna do? Anyways, so that's the difference between the two. If you see a small spike here or a flat line at the top, that's just motor saturation. That means you're just hitting the maximum that you can have a motor pull. Okay, post the photos, UAV tech, section now. Looks for your photo snippets. So Ignition FPV says, I'll post the photos in the UAV tech help section. Oh, okay, on the Patreon. Okay, let me flip over and take a look at those. Analog, blah, blah. Discord, oh, public Discord help section. All right, we're gonna look at that once I switch over to Discord here, and then I'm gonna take care of the Patreon stuff. Ignition, you just sent the photos, but okay. All right, let's flip over to here, go to here. Hopefully you tag me, and then we're gonna take care of these Patreon ones, of course. Are you the Night Stalker 1993? Stalker. Yeah, it's English. Okay. What the is that? I'm sorry. That's normal. Don't worry. This is what I said in Joshua's stream earlier. I said, don't worry about the lines. How did it feel? Yeah. It's fine. It's just a flesh wound. It's merely a flesh wound. Walk it off. You'll be fine. You can't fly through that. It's you. All right, let me throw that log up. Let me hit the Patreon ones. I want to take a look at that then. Okay. I want to look at the gyro traces and poke around a little bit. So you should be able to copy that log up to that same Discord. Tag me again once it's there, and I'll pop back. Let's hit my beautiful Patreon supporters here, because I appreciate all their support. It does mean the world to me, because it just it's supportive, and honestly, their contributions make a huge difference in keeping getting the content out. So anyways, if you're doing office hours today, I see you're live now. Any suggestions on this? I do the perfect tune moves here, but there is a lot of varied flying, and I do not hit the ground. I can do the perfect tuning flight, and it's not okay. Okay, I can do many today, but not after change of the tune one last time. Video here, Blackbox there. Asked about it in the general help a while back, tips, blah, blah, blah. A lot of D-term noise. So let's check out. I'm going to skip the log. See if it help me. Preset. This tune is kind of happy blend of Crunk's braided height, G-Tech, and your freestyle one. It'd probably be a reset here. Okay. Let's open this log up and see what it looks like. And do that a while, and then we're going to go ahead and download this a while as well, and we can take a look at it. Download. Yeah, download it anyways. It's only 1.7 gig. It will be fine. It's going to be fine. All right. So let's flop this open and see what we see. Okay. So this will be good. So if it's the perfect tuning moves or something close to it, what I'd normally do here, and people that are, let me give you the full screen because my big head's in the way, is try to get this set up so that on trace templates. So if you're new to the stream, or new to my content, I guess in general, the UAV tech black box. So when I say in trace templates, when I say, hey, I'm on trace template, this, that, or the other thing, what I mean is if you go to my website and you go to the Blackbox page, so if I just load up the website here and get this to a normal zoom magnification, and there's a Blackbox page down here. So everything loads up because my computer's doing a couple things right now. Go to this page right here, and there's trace templates there. So that's what these are here. If you have the latest Blackbox Explorer, so you can, again, you right click on this and hit save as, and then this will save a JSON file. So then you open your log, and then you hit open here again, and then with that, you'd open that JSON file. Once you do that one time, you're good to go, and that will give you these trace templates that you can, these workspaces. So I'm on the number 4 workspace. I kind of set all these up and then just use these all the time, just to give a point of reference for what things look like. Usually would turn on Expo, and the first thing we want to do is maybe trim out a little bit at the beginning of this log. And so we got to our first kind of stepped move here, and right off the bat, my first intuition, or my first observation, I guess I would say, on this, is it looks a little over dampened here. So you'd want to have this come up, and instead of kind of rolling up to the move here, you want it to be a sharp, you want it to come sharply up, and then kind of not overshoot, but come sharply up and hit it. And you can see this wobble here by doing by making it less dampened. You will and then move your gains up as well. You'll actually kill 2 birds with 1 stone, right? You'll make this roll off a little bit less, but then also you'll kill out this wobble here as well. So what am I talking about here? So if I plug in Betaflight flight controller, I was going to do some checking out at iNav a little bit later, since they're getting their thing going here. So if I plug into Betaflight and connect up, take a look at my sliders here. What I'm talking about is you have some sort of slider set up. Let me see if I can quickly detect what that is. Slide this over. Here it looks like you have something that is 85, 85, 46. D-min off, that's good. This is your slider setup. Is 54, 50, 46. That looks like what your sliders are. And then your 130, yeah, that. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me too with Crunk. Crunk, he's a good tuner. One thing that we differ a little bit between us is he generally produces over dampened tunes. I don't do that. I usually do critically dampened. I think he knows the value of a critically dampened. I don't know. It's just his style or whatnot. But all right. So what I would recommend doing, and let me just take a couple more looks at this before we go off too far on it. So that's over dampened. Let's just see if I see it on other moves though. So that's another one. Yeah, just a little bit, and you got a little bit of wobble here. So, but we want to increase the P gain. That's what we want to do in ratio to the I and the D. So we want to bring it up in ratio to both of those. And again, what I'm looking at here for everybody is this is just a simple roll. You can see here the sticks, right? Does a little pop up, drops throttle, rolls to the right. Watch the sticks, and then back to the center. He's kind of turning too a little bit, so it's like a roll to the right, and kind of keeps banking that direction. So just by scrubbing through here a little bit more, it's just flying around, flying around. Pitch doesn't look too bad. It's got a little bit of wobble. That looks fairly good for dampening. So pitch seems closer than roll. Maybe that's why you're at this spot, because you can't really, with the sliders, differentiate yet between the two. Let's keep looking. So we're looking for sharp inputs, either twitch moves or, yeah, This looked a little over dampened, a little over dampened. Okay, so what do I mean by over dampened? So let's flop up into here and look at my little tuning stuff here, tuning, PID tuning. Man. Oh man, where's my thing? I have an image of this. There, here it is. So what we're trying to do in tuning is get to this. So this is your step response, and you can see the similarity hopefully between that graphic and then if we go back to here and this, right? So if I move this here. This is not a UAV tech thing. This critically dampened, over dampened, under damping. This is just PID controller 101 stuff. So it's not a controversial thing. Sometimes people try to make it. It's just not. This is how it works. It's been this way for 100 years. So you can see the similarities. This is your step response. So you can see the input of your RC commands for a full rate roll. You can see what over dampened looks like. You can see what under dampened looks like, where it has oscillations. And then you can see where critically dampened. That's what we want to be, the green, where it rolls up and just goes right into the set point. So that's what we want to be. So getting back to your tune on this, what I would do is I'd bring this dampening slider, this PD balance, I'd bring that down. So I would take this from 1.3. I would try, what I would probably try is go to a 1.0. So, and then, but before you do that, you want to look at these 46 and 50. So you want to take this down, do less dampening, but then you want to bring everything up. So to get about the same D gains. So you're always keeping an eye on the D gain magnitude. So before we were, I think here, right, like that, right? So 46 and 50. So we're going to do less dampening, less D term, but then we're going to bring our overall PIDs up, and then you will, you get these D gains back. So as a result, the ratio between my P and D is more P gain, more push, less D gain, but I'm still going to get the same. I'm actually going to get better prop wash performance because now you got the P gain, higher magnitude, and the P gain pushes with the D gain to fight off prop wash. So that's what I would do. Let's look at the rest of this real quick. I don't see any issues. Oh, and the point of that wobble as well. That wobble is too much eye gain. You know that wobble, that like when you're in the move rotating. So the ratio, since I stayed the same, your eye gain stayed the same, but you made P gain go up, that's going to increase your P to I ratio, which will decrease your I term wobble. So I had in this thing, whenever you're tuning, let's see if I have it here, the interdependencies between all the, I should open the image instead of this, but the interdependencies work like this. It's your filters are, your D term is dependent on the filtering. Your P term is dependent on the magnitude of your D term, and the magnitude of your I term is dependent on the magnitude of your P term. So these are the ratios that matter. And if all these interconnects, these are the things right here. These are the things that matter. That ratio between these two terms, and the ratio between these two terms, and then the ratio between the amount of filtering and the amount of D gain. So there's a balance here, there's a balance here, and then there's a balance here. As you're tuning, you're trying to find that balance between these things in that order. Um, you can do it any way you want to get there, but that's the ratios that matter. That's the balancing that's the balancing act you're trying to find, and it varies per quad. So hopefully that helped a little bit. Let me go back to real quick, and then we'll move on because I'm trying to just do a 1 hour stream tonight. I just noticed something there though. Oh, that's mine. I was gonna say it's not over dampened. Like on this quad here, let's go back to mine. This was a tune I had on a quad that I was just doing some Betaflight testing on. And let me show you, where is it? That one looks good here. See this? This is a little underdampened, right? I got a little bit of overshoot going on here. That one looks good. A little bit of overshoot here. And some of that is because my feed forward is so high. To some extent, once you get the fundamentals down, I don't worry about this overshoot so much as I'm worried about this. I don't want any overshoot on the end, but this is still a little, I think feed forward's a little high on this yet, but I'm trying to hone it in as I go. But you can see overshoot. That's a lot of overshoot. So there is some overshooting on this bad boy. So that's underdampened. Okay. Last thing on that one, I guess, is just to quickly look. Do you have gyro scaled? Yep. Raw noise is coming up. Yeah, raw noise looks real good. It has this nice trough down here. You don't have any major vibrations up until 200 hertz. Perfect. What do you got for deter pitch? Yeah, you got like no noise on this thing. Yeah, so your noise performance is looking really good. So that's great. What I would recommend doing is also lowering some of your filtering. So that means raising these sliders up. So let's see where you're at on that. So you are at 216. You are at here. And then what else you got? You got 96, 91. So you're at a 1.3 on both of those. So the other thing you're going to want to do on this, and then yeah, this is fine. We got so 200, 800Q. People jump to that right away. What I would do is bring this width for your dynamic notch, bring that to 0. You have 200 here. Maybe take that to 250. And then I would raise your gyro, low pass filters all the way up to 2. And I would set your D term at 1.5. That's what I would do. If you're in a super hot climate, just keep an eye on your motor temps, but you should be fine. I would get your gyro filters way up, D term up to 1.5, reduce your dynamic notch a little bit, set this width to 8, or set that to 0, so it's only 1 notch instead of 2, and take this Q up to 250. I think that, and then those changes in the PIDs and the sliders, like I talked about. And like the doctor says, take 2 pills, call me in the morning. That's what I would do next, and then throw it up from there. All right, go back to here. So hopefully that takes them. We didn't even need to look at flight footage. I'm thinking everybody's waiting for you and Chris Rosser to do some sort of collaboration video. Maybe we should. I think Chris has been. I'm not sure if Chris has been, watching the channel, and it's this two-headed thing, right? To some extent, if I think Chris has watched a bunch of the tuning videos and stuff, but on some stuff I almost want Chris to not have, because basically what he's saying is what I should have turned that on a long time ago. But basically the way he looks at tuning stuff is the way I do. So to some extent, I want him to be like, no, I've never watched your stuff, because then have the same conclusion, like two guys come to the same conclusions and stuff. I think it's the former. Um, but some of the stuff that I'm still trying to get people all on the same page about is stuff like this interlocking ratio between the two things and stuff like that. This is not a um, it's not a theory. You can see it, and you didn't even see what I was showing there. But this thing, the interlocking ratio between these different terms, it's not a theory. You can see it. It's you can sit down an afternoon and prove it to yourself. It's just how it works. I've done a bunch of videos on this stuff already and showed it. So, but you know, he's on board with that, it seems like. So that's great. Another voice kind of beating that drum that would be awesome. So yeah, maybe someday we'll get on a collab. I'd love to collab with Chris. That would be great. Perfect tuning flight far from. You're planning to do another new PID toolbox thing. Yeah, if you guys aren't aware, the PID toolbox has a new version out, and it is awesome. So one of the things you can do with PID toolbox, and I was kind of showing them here, is you can load up multiple logs, right? So this is some of the stuff from Brian right here. Let me put this up. This is some of the stuff from Brian White. So so one of the things we did with, and this was just recently at a dev level in our little group, is people were not believing me. This is what I'm talking about when I'm still like beating the drum, right? People were not believing me that the PD balance stayed the same. Their step response stays the same as you slide this slider up and down. It does not screw around with your PD balance is one ratio, that ratio between the P and the D. And then you can move both of those terms up and down together, and that critically dampened, over dampened, all that kind of stuff stays the same. So then you can, this is basically your overall, this is like your prop wash slider right here, right? You want better prop wash performance, move this up. You want, you know, a little softer response. So in Betaflight 4.3, we're going to call this the, what are we calling it? Overall tune. I think it's going to be called overall tune slider. And then below we'll say P and D gain. So if you want a better overall tune, move this up. If you want a worse overall tune, move this down. You can only move this up so far, and then you get hot motors or oscillations, stuff like that. So it's just everything's in balance, right? So anyways, getting back to this. So in the new PID toolbox, you can load up multiple logs, hit run step response, and it will plot them over top of each other. So we were doing stuff like this where he was doing a bunch of tests with D10, holding P gain, moving D from 10 to 20 to da, 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 and then you can actually see how as you move the D gain up, it gets this from an underdampened to a critically dampened step response. So cool stuff, and you can do that now yourself with just multiple logs. What else we got here? Got 5 more minutes on the live stream here. Looks like we took care of that stuff in there. Back to the help. He was gonna. You had to put. Oh, you couldn't get it up onto the. It's too big for the Discord server here. In this folder, crash at the end of the 4th flight. It happens the entire. Video. I don't want to see a video though. I want the log. Oh, it's a thick. Oh snap. Yeah, crashing a thick isn't fun. That's not cool. Oh, nobody want to crash a thick. Yeah, look, let me know what, I'm going to download the second log here. I don't have all the time in the world. Hopefully this is it. So we'll download the second log And we can take a look at that. All right, Patreon. Go back to here. Just response D-term. Okay, D-term was looking good. The motors are barely warm. First looking good on D-term. Set biquad, pins push harder and lower pins. D-term, yeah, I'll get back to that one, but that's a separate side chat. All right, so we're good here. Let's see if that thick comes down. Okay, crash at the end. Let's look at this. Look at the flesh wound here. See if. All right. Ignition FPV says, yeah, man, I had already crashed it twice before. Oh man, I've only ever crashed one of the big guys once. It was Johnny FPVs. I think I had a video. I made a video about it. I crashed it and I was like, and the props are kind of expensive, right? And they're not, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, compared to the cost of the thick, it's not that expensive. But compared to when you were used to buying 5-inch props or 3-inch props, they're expensive. And I think they're like $8 a prop or something like that, if I recall correctly. So, anyways, I kind of stuffed his at the end, and I was like, okay, well, I'm done. I'm not buying another prop. Sorry, Johnny. And I was actually done. So I was like, hey, man, sorry, it's my bad. He's like, it's no worries. I think I did it. Yeah, I tuned it for free. I didn't charge him to tune it all. So that's why I was like, I'm not buying any props. If I would have charged him, I would have bought him props, of course. All right. So this is this thick. Hopefully here near the end, you're saying it spazzes out, man. Oh. Yeah, your roll noise is like, it just goes crazy. The whole thing just goes crazy. Look at different trace setups. I would just put on another flight controller, not another Radix. I think it's just there's something bad there. Check all your soldering connections, um, even if they're tight. Like the main ones, right? So your capacitor ones, not the individual motor ones, which would be a lot because you have 8 motors. I would check your like the main leads going from stuff, and even if they're nice tight connections, I would remelt the joint. Take some time, even when it's melted, like leave it melted for a second. You know, like 1, this would be 2, like 2 seconds. Like melt it, leave it melted for 2 seconds, then come off of it nice. I'm sure building a thick, that you have, but it never hurts. Capacitor stuff, and then I would just change it. At the same time, I would change that flight controller, so you're not going to really know which one it is. You say the first gyro signal in the so Ignition FPV says in the first link, the gyro signal recovers right before I disarmed. Yeah, but in that first link there was multiple files. Like which file? There's like 4 files there, man. So okay, let me see if we can hit any other chats in here. And hopefully this was somewhat helpful. I know it's a kind of a shorter live stream today, but see if there's any just kind of one-off questions here I can hit. Stuff ignition. Feed forward with the emu crowd doesn't sell very well, despite well. I love how people won't like feed forward, but they'll use D-term set point weight. That's feed forward, guys. Just saying. It's the same thing. It's not the exact same way it's doing it, but it's feeding the control signal forward. to give you a more advanced signal from your P term. That's feed forward. Whatever. Pretty confident. Yeah, and I'm sure you are in your joints. Then I would just replace the flight controller. Mark Webster FPV asks, is it better to use D-Min on or off? It really depends what you're going for. I turn D-Min, I think for freestyle. Here's my best advice. Racers use, well, I don't know about all racers. Some racers use D-Min to artificially suppress the D-term. D-term is the first actor to push against external like influences like prop wash and stuff. So if you have a low D gain, you're gonna have like bad prop wash performance, stuff like that. So if your motors are not hot, I would when D-Min is enabled, think of these as your D gains, not these. Don't worry about these. Ignore these. Think of these as your D gains. So you're starting at 35 and 38, and move up from there. You want better performance, move them up. Obviously when you D-Min starting to get up near the higher 40s and 50s, that's fairly high D gains on a 5-inch. It's not. These are super low D gains on a 10-inch. So it depends on your quad class. If these are high or low. 5-inch, that's 50s, pretty high. I've seen you can go on 5-inch, you can go up to 60 on some quads. But again, for a 10-inch, you'd start at 60. So just remember these your D gains, and then when you get into wash, it's going to boost the gains up to these 63 and 68, which will push even harder against outside influences and stuff like that. It throws off your PD balance though, right? It's going to make your quad under dampened, but it should be okay as long as you're starting with these as the low. Don't think of these as your D gains. These are not. Your Ds are mostly a little bit above these when you're actually flying. Must say, so Drone Pilot says, must say a special thanks to UAV Tech for the filtering videos and also the balancing of the props and playing with the log filters of videos. Rock, solid jello, very smooth flying now. Great. I'm glad to hear that, Drone Pilot. Thanks for giving me a little boost there. It's when people say, hey man, your stuff really helps out, that makes me happy. So it does. I appreciate it. That's what I'm doing this for. Okay, guys, it's 5:03. I think I pretty much hit it. There's a bunch of chatting going on here that I didn't hit, but it looked like Ignition FPV, just chatting with some folks on some stuff. Ignition, I guess I'll leave you. I'll try to look through those other logs here in a little bit and just see if I notice that, if you want to hop on the Discord or whatever. I'm not saying I can do it a bunch here because we got to get supper made and stuff like that. But otherwise, appreciate it, guys. If anybody is on here that had other questions as a patron and we didn't get to it or I skipped over it, I didn't do it intentionally, I just didn't see it. Its brain's going 1,000 miles an hour when you're doing these live streams. Do hop on to the Patreon chat and tag me. I'll make sure to get your questions addressed. Again, thanks everybody. Oh, one last thing. Private Island FPV said, send me a super chat. Very much appreciate that. I've learned so much. Thank you. So I appreciate the support. Private Island FPV, and thanks again, everybody. And I'll see you on the next one.